RCR Wireless News, I'm Sean Kinney, and welcome to the latest installment in our Telco AI Deep Dive series. Today, we're going to dig into Intel's vision for AI everywhere and what that means for operators. We're joined today by Intel's Cristina Rodriguez to get some perspective on the topic. So, Cristina, let's dive right in. Maybe you can lay out for us the big vision for AI everywhere with regard to operators who are working to kind of simultaneously cut out OpEx and then set the stage for delivering new revenue generating services.
First of all, Sean, great being here. Having a conversation with you is always a pleasure, and in this topic, especially interesting and engaging. Obviously, we know by now that AI is going to be everywhere, from client to edge to our network clouds, and it's going to be accessible to all the workloads, including the RAN and the core in the mobile infrastructure. Obviously, the good news, and I'm going to start there. The good news is that the technology exists today to have, and we need this to have AI capabilities in our networks. And I say that exists today coming from two fronts. Number one, and this is important, the industry has embraced a software-defined network end-to-end, open virtualized network. And this is the first part of the vision. How do we have an architecture that can embrace flexibility, scalability, but especially innovation such as artificial intelligence? So that's number one. The second thing is that the technology is also ready in the CPUs. We have the CPUs today that can provide what is needed for that software defined architecture. And you can see right now we have Intel CPUs that can run the entire workload, not only the RAN workload, but also the AI inference workload that is needed in the network without having to use external components, external GPUs or power-hungry components. And this is important because, as you know, the mobile infrastructure has very demanding requirements: performance per watt, latency. So we have to have the architecture and the CPUs underpinning that architecture that support that. So that's important as part of the vision. And then beyond that, what can AI do for the network is unlimited, virtually unlimited. And it will come again. This is not going to happen overnight. It's going to come step by step. But you can see, for example, if you look at the pain points of the operators, the things that operators have are interested in, I'm going to say two things, right? As a big category. Number one, two categories. Number one, total cost of ownership, performance, power consumption, again, performance per watt, latency, cost. But total, how do we bring down that total cost of ownership? And number two is how do they create new value-added services that can help them monetize the investment that they have done on the network. And AI can precisely help with those two areas. Things like, and I'm going to just mention some, things like dynamic network configuration, having a fine granularity of their resources, intelligently allocating resources. Number one. What else can be done? Traffic steering. How do you balance the traffic between cells? Energy efficiency, of course, the ability to reduce your power consumptions based on, for example, information and capabilities in the CPU that are going to allow you to automatically adjust frequency and voltages and core dormancy. Traffic steering. I mentioned traffic steering already, but spectrum efficiency, network automation, one of my favorite, getting to that dream of every operator to have a zero-touch automation. Imagine how much total cost of ownership can be reduced. These kind of things. Network slicing is another example, that going back to new revenues, having customer-specific SLAs backed by AI algorithms. So fantastic, tremendous amount of possibilities.
Okay, so to play that back, the infrastructure is available, the silicon's available, there's alignment around these big goals. So how should operators get started and what are the kind of incremental steps you'd expect to see?
Yeah, and that's an important mindset and way to look at it, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to be a switch on off like everything in the in our industries. It just takes some time, and there is an evolution, and things mature, and things get tested and bulletproof in the operation of it. But everything starts with number one, having a software defined network. I think this is an important step to get there. And I would say step number one, because the ability to bring new innovation is so much higher when you have an open virtualized network. And we're seeing already today many operators across the world, brownfield, greenfield. Some of them are deploying at a scale already, virtualized network. Some of them are starting to deploy, smaller quantities, but starting to deploy. And pretty much a great majority of them are already saying that they will do this, that they will have open and virtualized networks. So we're getting there. It's happening. This is going to happen. The other thing that will happen is that I would say it happen is operators are going to start testing algorithms in the labs, testing the capability, the technology in the labs, and then start rolling it out step by step, right? It's gonna be they're changing the way they're gonna be changing the way they do things. So that's gonna take a little time. First in the lab, then trials in the field, and then rolling it out. And this is a process, but again, we're seeing the interest of seeing what this technology is going to give us as far as benefit, total cost of ownership, and new services. I think you will see two type of AI applications. One is at the infrastructure level, I'm going to say. So things, for example, the power management will be one, very important, or predictive maintenance, right? So that's more at infrastructure level. And then you'll see specific radio algorithm, link adaptation, user selection, channel estimation, channel prediction, that are very much radio algorithms that are being done forever, that are very optimized today. So they have to switch to now rely on AI. It's a big step, and it will be a step by step, but it will happen.
As I look at the major global operators that we track day in, day out at RCR Wireless News, we see kind of two big network evolutions going on. One is moving from non-standalone to standalone 5G, and the other is this larger embrace of a cloud native operating model and the workflows that go with that and really help the company leverage the network that they've built. So when you bring AI into this, do you see it complicating those existing in progress network evolutions, or is AI the thing that maybe brings them all together?
Totally the second answer to your question that you said. I AI is another reason to do this. Is AI is another reason to virtualize the network, to open the network, to have more ecosystem participation. Imagine, Sean, now you have this disaggregated hardware and software network, software defined in a common platform, server architecture, with a platform that is well known by thousands of programmers in the world. All of a sudden, you have this pool of brilliant software developers developing applications, developing AI application and AI models for the network. So it all comes together. Is another reason to do it. This makes it a lot easier. It becomes a software problem, which is a much easier problem than a hardware problem. I will tell you another thing that we are doing, and this is important. We just announced this to make this transition and to make this a smoother journey for everyone, Intel has just announced in MWC 2024 that the early availability of Intel vRAN AI Development Kit. This is a kit designed for operators and developers to build, to train, to optimize, to deploy their AI models for specific RAN use cases. And this is built on top of Intel AI optimized libraries, framework, tools. It's running on the fourth generation of Intel Xeon Scalable processor with all the additional telemetry, power capabilities, and the operators are gonna be able to take these models and then now optimize the network, reconfigure the network on the fly, saving costs, taking advantage of the infrastructure that they have already deployed, and just be able to offer new services. So it's a fantastic tool for the ecosystem.
Christina, you referenced RAN disaggregation, Open RAN. I think is a topic that's near and dear for both of us. But in the context of these multi-vendor software-centric open networks that are inherently distributed, where does AI fit in? And I kind of mean that in the context of distributing AI workloads, both for processes that gain network efficiency for the operator, otherwise optimize the network, and then more customer facing type use cases. And, I'm kind of thinking about this idea of leveraging the new architecture as a platform for edge AI inference. But what are you thinking here?
No, again, right. It goes back to that flexibility, that opportunity to deploy when it makes sense. Right? When you look at the AI, you can be AI deployed in the CU, AI deployed natively in the DU. You can have AI deployed at the RIC. You can deploy it, and then if you go in the even a higher level, it could be again in the RAN, in the core, everywhere at the edge, everywhere in the network, addressing exactly the pinpoints that need to be addressed, and giving additional benefit depending on the functionality that is required. And it could be in the infrastructure part of it, or it could be in the specific vertical function, like the RAN, specifically radio function. So having the software and hardware disaggregation, it gives you that possibility. We have in that architecture, we have the CPUs with AI built-in acceleration that makes it easy to use, but then it's a software deployment that take advantage of that capability. And again, now you have software upgradability. Now you have thousands of developers that can develop and deploy applications. You have also one thing that is very important is software upgradable. So you have the network today. You have to work with a brownfield network. So you can start deploying AI capabilities today in the network that you have, in the footprint that you have today, and then upgrade those applications and upgrade those models within the same hardware through a software upgrade, pretty much. And then in addition to that, this is important because you are in the Intel CPU roadmap. When you go to the next generation of CPUs, because of our software compatibility generation over generation, you are going to be able to leverage of that. You can take all that software, all those models, and take them to the next generation.
All right. Well, you pretty well set up my next questions on the RIC, RAN acceleration ecosystem. But on the RIC piece, we see this as the kind of platform for intelligence in an open RAN network. But in the market, we're also seeing a lot of messaging around cloud RAN. So I'm trying to understand, when you're doing cloud native RAN in a distributed architecture, do you have to do open to do AI, or can you also do AI in a meaningful way with an integrated system?
You can what Open RAN and RIC within that give you is the standardization of the interfaces. So you have now the standards. So anybody in the world could go, any developer could go and write an X apps on our apps. So either near real-time RIC or non-real-time RIC. And they can go and write the X apps and our apps and deploy because they know the interfaces. And that's the beauty of the Open RAN, that you have the entire ecosystem participating in the innovation. Now you can always, as you said, you can always deploy natively in the DU and not having the RIC or not having the standard interfaces, but then you are limited to know what you have to know what the interfaces and the environment that you have.
Then on to acceleration. There's a lively discussion ongoing in the industry around look-aside versus inline versus integrated compute for layer 1 and layer 2 workloads. Maybe you can give us a little background on how Intel has approached this, and then where we are today with the 4th gen Xeon scalable processors with vRAN Boost.
My favorite topic. How much time do we have? No, I'll keep it. I'll keep it contained. But no, Sean, you're right. We have, first of all, our principles, our vision at Intel is that we are going to build CPUs that will give the operators the best outcome, the best results. And when we talk about that, we're talking about better performance per watt, power consumption, a key point there, latency, cost, simplification of the design, right? The simplification also of the supply chain. So you put all that together, and how can we give the operators the best possible outcome? And we believe that the way to do that is to integrating, or first of all, running the entire software stack on the CPU, that you don't need any external component, any other PCI card in that server to run the workload acceleration. And as part of that, we do bring a very compute intense very compute intense block that we bring into the CPU, the forward error correction you have heard about. There's no customization to that. It's just a very compute intensive block that we bring into the CPU. And by doing that, now we have everything can run, the entire workload, the entire RAN software stack, all the way to layer 1 can run in the CPU. And that's fantastic, from the performance per watt, cost, etc., simplification of the design, etc. And as you know, as you well said, the previous Mobile World Congress in 2023, we launched the 4th generation of Intel Xeon scalable processor with vRAN Boost. And vRAN Boost meaning that full integration of everything that is needed to run the workload, the RAN workload. And when we did that, we were able to give the operators twice the capacity, not only within the same power envelope, but actually with 20% of power reduction. So fantastic. And then again, the elimination, there's no need to have any external PCI card. We saw and we've seen fantastic reception of that. The industry very excited about it. We'll start seeing this deployed, at a scale, and fantastic. We're very happy with the architecture decisions that we made, and so in the industry. But I'm gonna say one more thing: we did not stop there, and just at MWC 2024, we announced the next gen of Intel Xeon platform is codename Granite Rapid D. And again, now with Granite Rapid D next gen, we have now significant improvement in performance, per watt. We have vRAN Boost also in Granite Rapid D, so you can run your entire workload all the way to layer 1. And we also have, of course, additional architecture and functionality enhancements, including additional AI built-in capabilities. We're super excited with that. And again, this is a preview of the next gen, but this shows our commitment to continue evolving the roadmap, continue building CPUs. Again, that will give the operators the best outcome, and that can run not only the RAN workload, but also the AI workload that is needed in the network.
Then the last question from me is around this ecosystem piece. When I look at Intel and the network and edge group, I see a business that's very intentionally positioned itself at the center of an ecosystem. And that ecosystem needs to be vibrant, needs to be growing, needs to be aligned for a rising tide to lift all boats, so to speak. And this maybe goes back a bit to your MWC announcement on an AI dev kit, but with the addition of AI, how does that ecosystem change? How Intel cultivates that ecosystem change?
Great question, an important question, because you know that for us, the ecosystem is very important, and we have a long history of working with the entire ecosystem in the entire world. That being Linux, DPDK, FlexRAN. We have more than 200 FlexRAN software licensee. FlexRAN software is our layer one implementation, all in software. So for us, it's part of our culture. This is what we do. We work with the ecosystem. We make them successful, and we grow together. So for AI, in the case of AI, this is just an extension of that culture, of that infrastructure, of that support that again will enable others and the entire ecosystem and our partners to continue bringing value into the industry. I'll give you some example. If you fast forward again, go back to MWC 2023. At that point on the AI, we were working with Capgemini that was doing some scheduler, Mac scheduler, AI assisted. We were with Tiero Every doing power savings, energy savings, AI assisted. We were with DeepSeek, and they're again applying AI on their algorithms, radio algorithms, ADA technology. We work with them too. So we had all this already a year ago. Microsoft also with some AI-driven automation, super interesting. Ericsson also. So lot of examples. Ericsson on the energy savings too. A lot of examples even a year ago of demonstration, proof of concept, applications. This year in MWC, we had SK Telecom showing on their booth 30 to 40% of power energy reduction. Fantastic. And then we had also in our booth, we had demonstrations with Vodafone. Vodafone was a network slicing application, again, going back to being able to deliver new services. We have Deutsche Telekom with beam management. We had AT&T with energy savings too. And again, we also working with DeepSeek, ADA, and multiple other partners. So this is just an example of how wide we go with the ecosystem, and that's the point. The point is, how can we bring as much innovation as possible and rolling out to the field, to real world traffic as fast as possible.
Cristina, we covered a lot of ground in this conversation. Any summary thoughts you would leave our audience with?
I would say this is the journey, and we are in this journey, and this is happening. And I would go back to say we need to have the right network architecture. It has to be software defined, open, virtualized. This is the way to embrace new capabilities, new innovation, and AI is part of that. AI is happening. It will have to go through the different steps, but it's a tremendous amount of possibilities. And we are in this together with our partners, with our customers, with our vendors. This is an industry effort, and it is super exciting. It is very exciting. I'm looking forward to work with the entire ecosystem.
It's always nice to talk to you, Cristina. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your perspective with me and with our audience at the Telco AI Deep Dive.
Thank you so much, Sean. Always a pleasure.